Hello fellow Ashen Ones. Today we're going to be talking about the city of Londor, its connection to the past and other secrets surrounding it. Londor is the name of a city the game hints at multiple times during a typical playthrough, but leaving its story and importance quite untouched. The first time we stumble upon Londor is in the prologue, where we see the very familiar pilgrims we find multiple times scattered around Lothric. One of them is Yoel of Londor, who tells us that the journey started from the aforementioned city and pilgrimage to Lothric, looking to fulfill an unknown duty. Upon our first conversation with him, he tells us that he failed to die as was ordained, unlike his companions.
Oh, then it's true. A champion of Ash as I live and breathe. To be in your presence is a great honor. I am Yoel of Londor, a pilgrim as you can see, only somehow I failed to die as was ordained. Well, perhaps my calling lies elsewhere. Say, champion of Ash, how does the idea of taking me into your service strike you?
If you should accept it, Yoel will enter into your service, saving him so his life, as you gave him a new purpose to live for. He promises to help us finding our true strength, and if we should accept this gift, we see that upon our first level a new item is added to our inventory. He has branded us with the dark sigil. A black gaping hole in the flesh that resembles the brand of the undead. The darkness of humanity seeps from this bottomless pitch black hole, the gap filled by the accumulation of the curse. This dark sigil will never heal, but there is a tale told of a firekeeper who returned from the abyss and brought great comfort to a bearer of the curse. We're not interested at the moment in curing this artificial undead curse, but bear in mind that it can only be healed by a firekeeper who managed to return from the abyss. Unlike the previous games, we know that our character doesn't turn hollow upon death, as we are unkindled, unfit even to burn in the flames. We are ash, sterile. This means we are not linked to the fire and therefore cannot lose our humanity when we die. But the Dark Sigil does allow us to turn hollow again, and in a similar fashion as we do in Dark Souls 2. The more often we die, the more humanity in form of life we lose. But this way we gain also strength, as it allows us to level up even more. That's how Yoel extracted our true strength, the power of the undead. However, after we accumulated 5 dark sigils, Yoel dies, leaving his place to another obscure figure, Uria of Londor. She calls us her Lord of Hollows, served by the people of Londor. So it is possible that Londor might be a land of hollows, the same way New Londor was. The Dark Blade miracle confirms this. Its inhabitants are guided by the Sable Church, a mysterious institution which, according to the miracle, was founded by 3 daughters. Miracle of the Sable Church of Londor reinforces right weapon with dark. The 3rd daughter, Liliane, one of the founders of the Sable Church, is said to recount tales that portray the suffering and conflict of hollows. It's worth mentioning at this point that the word sable is equivalent of dark and black, so together with the previous description, humanity seems to have a big role in this church. We also know of the existence of hollow gems. A gem of infused titanite, a stone plentiful in Londor, land of hollows, used in infusion to create hollow weapons. Hollow weapons are said to peer into the essence of its wielder, whose luck boosts attack. Weapons following this infusion path scale with luck, a key element to their human nature. But what does the Sable Church preach to Londor's hollows? Uria does actually sell us the Londor Braille Divine Tome, a Braille Tome of Londor, first spoken by Liliane of Sable Church. Give this to a storyteller to learn miracles of Londor. This is a forbidden tome, as it offers salvation to the hollows and conversely curses all things living. What the hollow pilgrims are looking for in their quest is probably salvation from their hollow nature. By cursing all things living, we understand that the salvation this Sable Church promises is most likely death, That might also explain why Yoel was so disappointed upon not being able to die as was ordained. We know for sure from the untrue Dark Ring that Londor's inhabitants hated their undead appearance. They were ashamed of it. One of the illusory rings worn by the Hollows of Londor retain human appearance while hollow. The Hollows of Londor are wretchedly aged, fraught with deceit and dubiously secretive. It is no wonder that they are deeply detested. The pain and sorrow the curse brings tempts them so much that some will find in the purging stones a momentary relief, betraying their own credo in doing so. Ash-colored stone encasing a skull reduces undead curse buildup and cures hollowing. Inhabitants of Londor, the land of hollows, use this secret treasure to feign normalcy. Occasionally a hollow fools even himself and turns on his own kind. But doing so is seen as heresy by the Sable Church. As if we would do so ourselves, Uriah abandons the shrine with distaste, never to be seen again. Then what is the Sable Church, and who is Uriah? We know that darkness shrouds the church, as the miracles it tells often are of dark nature. A disturbing but familiar confirmation of this is another item Uriah sells, the Dark Hand. Weapon that allows its wielder to evoke an art unique to Londor, the land of Hollow. It is also said to be an ancient relic of a primordial serpent. The Dark Hand mercilessly saps the essence of its victims and can also double as a special shield. The description is of course talking about Darkstalker Kath, leader of the Dark Race. He's probably the reason why the Sable Church was created, deceiving the three sisters to create the cult of the undead, gaining that way trust and loyalty from Londor's Hollows, forging their will to mirror his own. If we read the description of Uriah's build mask, we gain another piece of the puzzle. Attire of the three mentors of the Sable Church of Londor. This build mask belongs to Uriah, the second eldest. These maidens of a primordial serpent were renowned as founders of the Sable Church, which offered salvation for hollows. If we would kill her, she would nominate Kath explicitly.
Kath, I have failed thee.
Unfortunately, we don't know the name of the oldest sister at the moment, but at least we should have a clearer image by now on what's going on in Londor. But then, what's Kath's master plan, his final goal? At the beginning of this video we introduced the concept of Lord of Hollows, and completing Uriah's questline gives us some concrete answers. She invites us to perform a ritual, as our spouse is waiting for us in the Dark Moon Tomb in Anor Londo. She's talking about Henry of Astora, another NPC and undead herself. We find her laying at the foot of Gwyn's tomb, and by killing her with the sword given us by Uriah's assassin, we complete the ritual. At this point we absorb what seems to be her soul, perhaps her own dark sigil. We are now the Lord of Hollows, a powerful and worshipped being, capable of usurping the flame as Uriah invites us to do. But what does that mean? Usurping the flame. What we achieved is to strengthen our inner darkness to the point that instead of burning, we can eventually absorb the first flame in us, ushering what looks like the Age of Dark. If we compare this ending to the End of Fire ending, we notice that by absorbing the flame we very likely really put an end to the Age of Fire, while in the latter the Firekeeper foresees the eventual rise of new flames, thus keeping the eternal cycle alive. So to me it really looks like that by doing Kath's will, we put an end to the undead shackles of the gods, which were created to deliver new fuel to the fire, hindering its extinguishing. This would also explain why Kath used the Dark Wraiths in New Londor to steal humanity from the undead, to avoid that more precious fuel would be delivered to the flame, thus prolonging the Age of the Gods. But why does he want to end this age? Why does he want to start a true Age of Dark? By completing Dark Souls, we really got the idea that it didn't matter what ending we chose. The primordial serpents always achieved their goal, even if apparently they were against each other. Well, maybe, perhaps, the other primordial serpents we know of could tell us something more about it.